Hey, hello everybody, Getúlio Tamid here. I'm an English teacher, psychoanalyst, and social educator. I started this channel especially to help students who got stuck at the intermediate level break through that plateau, the intermediate plateau. What are you talking about? I promise, I'll explain. Stay with me. In geography, a plateau is a high, flat area of land that rises above everything around it. It's usually surrounded by hills or steep cliffs. Plateaus are formed through different natural processes like volcanic activity, lava, erosion by water, and glaciers. And they can take thousands of years to form. Now, relax. This is not a geography lesson. It's about language learning, I promise. But what does geography have to do with learning English? Well, in geography, some landscapes take thousands of years to form. Of course, that it doesn't take thousands of years to become an English speaker or even an intermediate speaker. But when we finally reach that level, when we realize we can communicate and we stand out from people who don't speak English, we often feel proud, and we should, obviously. Metaphorically speaking, we're standing on the top of a plateau. We can see the deep valleys below, separating us from where we used to be. Another interesting thing about plateau is how they're formed. Think about volcanic magma, all that power, energy, heat. That is exactly how we feel at the beginning of our learning journey, motivated, energized, maybe even a little superior. But after some time, the temperature drops, the lava cools, the ground becomes solid. Yes, okay. And that's exactly where people build houses, villages, cities. Life settles. Of course, doesn't that sound familiar? We start from zero, then with the help of a teacher or an app, we feel excited. Simple sentences become more complex. We start communicating with foreigners. Wow, this is so good. We can express feelings, describe things, ask questions, share ideas, and then one day something changes. You know, humanity once dreamed of flying. Think about the myth of Icarus, the boy who looked at the birds and believed that he could fly too. And just like him, we look up and think, I want to speak better. I want to be more fluent. I want to be more confident. Maybe your boss wants to promote you. Maybe you're aiming for an academic career. Maybe you want to work for an international company. So what do? We use the same tools and strategies that got us to the intermediate level. But here's another metaphor. That can be like building your wings out of wax. In the myth, the higher Icarus flew, the closer he got to the sun, and the faster his wings would melt. He fell. And in language learning, the fall feels like this. You start feeling like an imposter, like you were not as good as you thought you were. And that's where the imposter syndrome shows up. So what am I trying to tell you? If you've watched this video up to this point and understood everything, including the metaphors, you're doing great. Yes, you already know English. Now it's time to study with purpose. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are a back-end developer in Brazil. You're not very much satisfied with your income, and a friend tells you about a job opportunity with an American company. Suddenly you think, oh my God, the interview will be totally in English. And then you start trembling. Anxiety hits. Not because you don't know English, but because you were never trained for that specific situation. That's where English for specific purposes comes in. It's not about teaching you English all over again. It's about refining what you already know, adding specific vocabulary, learning strategic expressions, and building confidence, developing clearer and more sophisticated structures. Because after all, companies don't expect you to speak like Professor Michael Sandel. They want to know basically these things. Do you understand what they're saying? Can you ask for clarification confidently? Can you explain your ideas clearly and concisely? Can you participate in meetings? Can you solve problems and meet expectations? That's what really matters. I talk more about this in another video. You can find it in the cards above. And if you'd like to book a trial lesson with me, you can find me at italki.com/Getulio Tamid. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.